Hello and welcome to the Zero Studio Buzz podcast. My name is Doug and I'm coming to you from New Mexico, from Albuquerque. And this is a podcast about, if you haven't guessed, about all the yarns and about mainly knitting. Last episode, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your kind words about the loss of my mother. It wasn't easy, but I'm glad I got to film an episode because I missed it. I realized I really missed chatting with you. I miss chatting all kinds of woolly stuff. So I'm glad we're back on track, and I want to thank you all for your kind words and your kind comments, for reaching out to me. Thank you. It means a lot. Yeah, I want to start by showing you some things that I forgot to mention last time. And one of them, two are some things that I had finished in the meantime, and I plain and simply forgot about them. One is my song blanket, and you have seen it many times, and I call it finished even though there's still so many ends to weave in, which I ignore at this time because I would have to cover myself in a super warm blanket, but it is hot in New Mexico. The reason I wanted to bring it out for you is that I wanted to show you that I finished it with an I-cord edging. Song blanket is, in case you didn't know, it's a pattern that I wrote up a while ago, and it's up on Ravelry as a free pattern. It is worked with 2 strands of sock yarn, usually leftovers, that are held together, and that's also how I did the I-cord. So the color of the I-cord changes all the time, which I thought was just fun to continue that way. Yeah, and it's really turned out very nice. I did a search on YouTube, applied I-cord edging. I'm sorry, I don't remember what the video was, but I'm sure there's plenty of great videos. I usually, if I'm looking for something like this, I look for the most views, and that's usually the best video, I would think. Yeah. And the other thing that got done is my sweater that I designed, and I'm not going to be able to write this up. It's too long ago, and I'm not a sweater pattern person. And I know I didn't show it to you because when Mom got sick, I realized I made a mistake somewhere in the lace, and that was for quite some time my last post on Instagram about how I fixed this at the time when our life fell to pieces. That's when I fixed the lace pattern on the sleeve. I decided on dropping the stitches in the lace just for the lace section, and it turned out really, really nicely. So I dropped just this section, and it was probably like this much, maybe 4 inches, and knitted them back up. And it, yeah, like I said, it turned out really great. This sweater also is really nice. I like the fit, and it's hot here. I'm gonna put it on only because you are all the nice people out there, so you can see how it fits. And I found the other day at my favorite thrift store, neon yellow shirt caught my eye. Neon yellow, yes. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be perfect to wear under this sweater. Yeah, I really think even the lace I came up with, don't ask me how, turned out really nicely. And I had to fudge a little bit because before I got the width of the sweater that I wanted, or when I only then, but no, how can I say that? At the time of when I had achieved the width that I wanted in the sweater body, the sleeve width was too wide. And so I worked some fast decreases here, and so now I have a sleeve that I like. Yeah. I showed you also my Odyssey shawl by Hochi Locatelli, which I converted into a fingering weight project, and I blocked it, and it is giant now. Check it out. Do I show you the right side? I do show you the right side. I used Sock Hop 3 skeins by Dancing Leaf Farm. My friend Delius in Maryland, and a partial skein of my Sugarloaf. They're all the same yarn base, and it's a light fingering. I managed to block out quite well the bump on the top middle. I'm still not happy, and I don't think I'm gonna knit this shape again because it just always bugs me. Don't even know why. Even though nobody's gonna see it when I wear it. Yeah. The shawl turned out really massive. Half the shawl is almost my wingspan. Almost. Yeah, but I'm glad I blocked it, glad it's blocked. I had to go outside with this guy. Yeah. Still, with our dry heat, these things dry so fast. And then, my dilemma. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna cast on? Do I do a cardigan? Which cardigan? Or a shawl? Or both? And which shawl, which cardigan? I ended up deciding on the Scapa cardigan. I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles. My beautiful little Knit New Mexico. Why is it flipping the wrong way? Dude. Okay. Where to start? My needle size is 3.5 millimeters, and you start obviously top down, and you start with an I-cord edge of a fuzzy yellow mohair. We talked about mohair many times. This is probably the last skein of mohair that I buy, just because it itches me, but this guy is just, I remember how happy I was that I found it, because the shade of yellow is really so nice with it. And when I saw the tag, I realized it has 40% silk, so it's a tiny, quite pricey skein, but also with that silk content. I'm not surprised that it's also not, I can't say that I'm touching it and I'm like, ugh. No, it's okay. And I held it, since you're supposed to double it, I held it with my velvet. Like I said, the Suri Zerwol's velvet is a Suri alpaca silk blend. And I had, this was left over from my birds of a feather. Yeah, so that's how you start. You start by that I-cord edge, by making that I-cord edge, and in the end the I-cord will go along the front and also along the bottom. I had purchased this yarn by Nice and Knit in Maryland a few years ago, specifically for this cardigan, not realizing that this is a different yarn. So it needs not just 3 skeins, but 2 more. So I dyed up 2 skeins of Beekeeper, and in the end, I think it was Beekeeper's Daughter, and I ended up, it was too light. It was too similar to the other colors, so I just made it look a little more dirty green and darker, and it's a great match, as I'm sure you'll agree. And now I'm just plucking away. I learned something new. The way the designer has you do the raglan increases is a new technique that I had never done before, and I loved it. And in the same fashion, you do a center increase in the back, and I believe, and I have to confirm that, I think also that you will increase stitches on the body on the side. Have to look up how often, how many times, but I have to confess that I have already started changing things on this guy. So what happened was that I never did a gauge swatch. So when I reached the amount of stitches where I thought this was going to be my size, and I thought I was going to have to be able to split the stitches for the sleeves, at that point I realized, let's make sure that this is right. And I also, because I don't like my sleeves to be too wide, so what I did was I put everything on a gazillion needles, knitting needles, and I put a pin under my arms to hold the stitches together here, a safety pin, a large one, and I put it on, and I realized I really do have the size that I want. And even more, I don't need as many stitches to be cast on under the arms as the designer tells you. So I thought, I'm just gonna wing it and do my own. I eyeballed it. I'm like, okay, this is how many stitches I'm gonna need here. So I decided on the number 13 because that's my lucky number. Let's hope it works out this time. I think so. But also, here she wants you to do something else that I have never done that way before, and where I just couldn't figure it out. She says cast on with some waste yarn, cast on a crochet chain, and then she said, okay, knit to here, and then cast on stitches from your crochet chain. I mean, almost word by word like that. I have no idea what she means. So I'm like, whatever, screw it. I'm not gonna spend an hour trying to figure out what she means. I will do this the way I always do it. So I cast on my 13 stitches with my working yarn, and then I kept going, and when I'm gonna work on the sleeve, I'm just gonna pick up my 13 stitches and yeah, gonna rock on from there. I'm sure it's gonna be okay. Yeah. And I'm just gonna keep on going, and I hope it's gonna work out. I'm sure it's gonna be a great cardigan, and I'm gonna go to Taos for the Taos Wool Festival. Looks like it's really happening, so very exciting. And I'm gonna go with my local knitting friends. Yay for that. And I don't know, is it realistic to hope that I have this done by then? I'm not sure, but I'll try. Because I'm as monogamous as I can be, which means I have started the shawl that I thought I may start. I told you I was torn between actually 3, not just 2, but I kicked out the lace shawl right away because I thought I don't have the stamina. Then it was between an Amber O'Brien and Melanie Berg, and as I expected, the Melanie Berg pattern won. And so yeah, it's just because it had to be something for her. And I decided on the Tamdu, which I told you about. And this is how it looks like so far. Yeah, not really much to say, just that I am insanely happy about all of these colors. If you haven't seen the last episode, this is what I started off from. It's a La Jolla yarn that I bought on a vacation, and I wanted a dark green to go with it, and to combine the two in a shawl, and I came up with this one. Next was that I was looking for a pattern, and the ones that I wanted to make all took 3 skeins of yarn. And so I dyed up to a dark burgundy, which you can find in here, but also that golden yellow, which you can also find somewhere in here. And of course, this is what won this little contest of colors, because it's just something that I love. And yeah, very happy so far. Next, which I'm gonna do tonight, I think, is gonna be another yellow stripe. It was too late yesterday to tackle that because my attention span dwindles as the day comes to an end. So yeah. And the last thing I brought to show you is a new stash, and it's really a super funny story, because I say it's the fault of my son's landlady, because I met up with her down in Nob Hill, close to the yarn store. I parked at the yarn store parking lot. They were still closed, but they allow me to park there always. And so I parked there, I met the landlady, and when I got back, the yarn store was open already. So I thought, I'm gonna say hi, and I went in. I talked to Chris briefly, and I said, hey, that was me parking out there. And then I went to the back because I wanted to see if they still have any of that yarn that I used for my daughter's crochet bracelet. And it was in the sale section, and the sale section is in the far corner of the yarn store. So I went there and it wasn't there, but on the way back, I discovered something. And you need to know that I saw the cardigan Mariechen in a German podcast. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to make this for so long. And at the same time, Isabel Kramer had a sale going. So that same day, which was the day before I was at the yarn store, I had purchased the pattern Mariechen. And then I'm walking through the store and I'm looking at this yarn and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. I need to buy this yarn right now. Is this not an amazing color for me? I love it so much. They did have this yarn. I thought I knew, I looked up the pattern and then I knew, oh, this is probably going to be a little bit too light for what she wants you to use. And then I talked to Chris at the yarn store and he said that there is a heavier weight, but the heavier weight, I thought it was too heavy. Maybe not necessarily for the pattern, but for sure for what I like. I thought I'd rather have a lighter cardigan and get more use out of it that way. And yeah, indeed, since then, so I decided on the lighter weight, and since then I wound up one skein, even though I'm not going to start knitting because I do want to finish this cardigan first. And I did a gauge swatch larger than a stamp. Aren't you proud of me? So this is 4 millimeters and this is 3.5 millimeters. She asks to use a 4 millimeter needle, but I'm not going to do it. I didn't like it. It's too loose. And I'm almost at the gauge that you need. I think I have 21 stitches and you're supposed to have 20. I do know that I knitted kind of loosely, so I may actually end up needing 22 stitches for 10 centimeters, but I'm gonna figure it out. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. What, isn't this pretty? I just love it. Yeah. Very happy with this purchase, and I'm looking forward to knitting with this. You see, I'm sitting in my dye studio again, surrounded by all my new colors that I came up with in the past days. I don't know, I've had this creative explosion in my head, and so there's a few new favorites, I call them. And yes, what you see on my hands is actually ink for fountain pens, not dye. Is that funny? Yeah, I got all the colors on my hands right now from ink and from dyes. So this is Hello Fall. Love it. The blue is Call Me Kid. This one is called Dollhouse. It's an older one, but these two I really love. But then yesterday I came up with, yeah, this is also Call Me Kid, but this one is a new one and I cannot wait to knit with this myself because I love purple and green, and I don't relate it, at least this one I don't relate to Halloween at all. Oh, this is wet still. Oh, I love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. It's so funny because little side story. This when I had my breakfast this morning, I watched Manda B, who's one of my inky channels that I watch, and she's doing 30 inks 30 days right now, which is really fun, where you fill up your pens, a fountain pen every day with a new ink. And so she said what she loves about it is that she wakes up every morning and she's thinking, oh, what ink am I going to use today? And I thought, I don't do 30 inks 30 days, so what do I think of first in the mornings after I wake up? And I'm really thinking about, what am I going to dye first? And today it was this one. The name is not set in stone, so this is a reference to Billy the Kid, and this is going to be a reference to Annie Oakley, and I'm gonna not sure yet what I'm gonna name her. I have to think on that a little bit. I've been throwing around a few names, like hi, I'm Annie is one of the options. I'll see. I'm still, most of these yarns are going to go to the yarn store in Taos, and also many of them to the yarn store at Nob Hill, and I'm as always grateful for them for their support of this little one-woman show, as well as I'm thankful for you for shopping my store. Which reminds me, we had this epic giveaway on Instagram. Did you participate? I hope you did. I ended up giving away 6 skeins of yarn. I wanted to give away 5 skeins of yarn because I have 5,000 followers, so 1 skein for every 1,000, and that was the idea. But then I posted a picture to announce that the giveaway was coming and was going to start the next day. But apparently nobody reads what you write under your post. So everybody thought this is the beginning of the giveaway. So what ended up, people were commenting as if it had started. And so I thought, whatever, I'm just gonna start it today and do an extra day of giveaways. So and that's what I did. Over the weekend I'm gonna pack up all the yarns and I'm going to ship them out. A lot of them going to Germany, and 2 of them one going to New Zealand, and a German lady who lives in New Zealand and watches the podcast, which I find very funny, and also one formerly Albuquerque and a woman who now lives in Texas, and also crazy. I use this fancy schmancy app that picks from the comments, and it was really fair and square. A woman from Albuquerque, one of my friends and local longtime customers, Kat, who has won the last day with the last giveaway of a yarn that I'm super excited about, which is a new base that I'm going to be adding. I had a trial run right now. It's called the Silky Roadrunner. It's an unplied singles yarn with a 30% silk content that I really was super impressed about, and I really love it. It's going to be great for shawls and stuff. And probably sometime in the very near future, I will also record another Paper Talk episode, because my tracking information told me that I will be getting an ink package in the mail today, and so I will do that separately, so stay tuned. Well, as always, thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon, and until that, happy knitting.